I never thought my marriage would end in a courtroom, under fluorescent lights, surrounded by strangers in stiff suits and the cold echo of disappointment. My name is Brooke Daniels. I'm 32 years old, born and raised in Seattle, Washington. I used to believe in forever. That kind of blind, hopeful forever you see in movies or read about in young adult novels. I clung to it like a lifeline, even when the cracks in our marriage began to show. Jason and I met during my junior year at UW. He was in law school, charming, confident, and always 10 steps ahead in conversation. I was studying psychology, hoping to understand people better, including myself. He used to call me Brookie with the big brain and brought me soup when I caught the flu during finals. We were one of those couples who moved fast, too fast maybe, but I was in love and I trusted him completely. We got married a year after I graduated. It was a courthouse wedding, small and simple, just like we both wanted. Or so I thought. We moved into a cozy apartment downtown, and for the first few years, things were okay. Not perfect, but I was content. I worked at a counseling center, helping at-risk youth, while he climbed the ladder at his firm. The real trouble started about a year and a half ago. Jason stopped coming home on time. He blamed long hours and high-stakes cases, and I believed him until I didn't. There were whispers on his phone when I walked into the room. Sudden work trips that couldn't be explained. Missed anniversaries, unanswered texts. The final straw was the voicemail from a woman named Madison, thanking him for last night and calling him my love. I didn't confront him right away. I was too stunned. I remember sitting on the bathroom floor, that voicemail playing on loop, my hands trembling. I felt like the air had been sucked out of my lungs. I wanted to scream, cry, smash something, but all I did was press replay over and over again, trying to convince myself it was some cruel misunderstanding. But there was no misunderstanding. A week later, I followed him after work and saw them together. Madison was everything I wasn't. Younger, flashier, always laughing like nothing in the world could touch her. She kissed him in the middle of the sidewalk like they were the stars of some romantic drama. I watched from across the street, my heart shattering piece by piece. Still, I didn't say anything that night. Instead, I started packing, quietly, methodically. I waited until he was out of town for a conference and left him a note. Nothing poetic, just, I know. Don't call me. I moved in with my sister in Tacoma, filed for divorce the next morning, and tried to start over. But starting over isn't as simple as moving zip codes or changing your last name. The court date came faster than I expected. I hadn't seen him in person since I left. I thought I'd feel strong and empowered walking into that courtroom, head held high, proof that I was moving on. Instead, I felt like a ghost, numb, floating, invisible in my own skin. When I saw him, I almost couldn't believe it. He looked different. Not in a good way, like a man who'd been living on fast food and fake affection. His tie was crooked and his hair had too much product. But what hit me the hardest wasn't any of that. It was the glint of a new ring on his finger. Not just any ring. His wedding band, our wedding band, only now it had been re-engraved. I saw it when he signed the court papers. I'd picked that ring out myself 2 years ago, in a tiny shop in Pike Place Market. The inside had once read, "Forever yours, V." But when he moved his hand, I saw something new. Something that turned my stomach cold. For Madison. Always. I felt like someone had punched me in the chest. I almost laughed, not because it was funny, but because it was surreal. This man had worn our ring, our symbol of commitment, into a courtroom to divorce me, with her name etched inside. The judge asked us if there was any hope for reconciliation. Jason said, "No, Your Honor," without hesitation. I nodded slowly, biting the inside of my cheek so I wouldn't cry. I wanted to scream. Look at his hand. Look what he's done. But what would be the point? The damage was done, and my dignity was all I had left. Afterward, I walked out of that courtroom and sat in my car for 30 minutes. Just sat there, staring at the steering wheel, replaying every moment of our marriage from the first kiss in the rain outside the library to the night I caught him lying. I realized something important in that moment. I had loved Jason more than he ever deserved. And that wasn't my failure. That was his. In the weeks that followed, I did what I hadn't done in years. I focused on me. Not the shell of a wife I had become, not the broken pieces he left behind, just me. I went back to therapy. I reconnected with old friends. I took a weekend trip to Colorado alone and hiked a mountain trail just to prove I could. And I started journaling, not just to vent, but to rediscover my voice. One day, I took my own wedding band, the one I hadn't worn since the day I left, and sold it. I used the money to buy a used piano. I hadn't played since college, but my fingers remembered. Music became my therapy, my peace, my quiet rebellion. I don't hate Jason anymore. I don't think I ever truly could. But I do pity him, because someday when the glitter fades and the thrill wears off, he'll look at that ring and realize he traded loyalty for lust, truth for thrill, and a life built on love for a lie wrapped in sparkle. I'll be on the other side of that mountain, stronger, freer, and finally, completely my own.